Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Yev is here, and today I have a really very unique keyboard. This is WhiteFox Eclipse CNC high profile mechanical keyboard from Alpaca Keyboards, and this keyboard is unique by one but really cool feature, and I will show you this in a minute. Before we will jump into this feature, let's quickly check what we will have inside the box. You will have a braided white USB-A USB-C cable. You will have this tool, and I will explain why do we need this tool. You have a simple puller, you have a set of additional keycaps, and by the way, this keycaps is PBT DYE sublimation keycaps 1.5 millimeters thick. And basically the keyboard itself. This is a really tough keyboard. I mean, it's a very substantial weight in it. It's kind of like full aluminum case from upper shell and bottom shell, and still it's a wireless, so you can use Bluetooth to connect it to your PC or laptop or whatever. So it's pretty cool. Let's check what we have as switches. So today I have this yellow Gateron pre-looped linear switches, and we know the switches. I'm using the switches from time to time for my modding exercise, or it's usually part of premium keyboards. And under this switch we have PCB with south facing RGB and 3 or 5 pin, so you can use any switches what you want to use. And now let's switch to the main point of this keyboard, and this is hot-swappable case. Right, you hear me right. We can hot swap this case. Let me show you what I mean. You see, I don't need any tools, and I can just eject the top aluminum plate because this is on a magnet. So these guys did brilliant engineering work. So they figure out how to put the top aluminum plate on the magnets, so you can just, put it on top or remove it without any tools. Super cool. But this is not all. Next, what you can do is to eject the PCB sandwich with all switches and keycaps, because it's also on the magnets. Check this out. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 magnets, and in the parallel it's a gasket mounted structure, because you have this poron or foam on the edges of the bottom shell, but also you have this material under these legs of magnets. So in general it's provide a pretty consistent sound because it's all links together. Under the PCB we have additional layer of absorbing foam. You see, as I mentioned, we have the same pads on the magnets, under the magnets, right? Of course, we have a additional level of foam in between of metal switch plate and a PCB itself. So now, guys, you get the idea that the modding of this keyboard is just super simple and super enjoyable. But before we will jump into the modding, and before I will disassemble the PCB to check what we have inside, I want just to make a sound test of this keyboard as is, right? Before any modification, and then we will do some modifications. Sound of the keyboard without any mods. So you can hear that this is a pretty solid sound. So basically you don't need to do anything, right? You can just use this keyboard and enjoy this keyboard out of the box. But let's check and let's dive into details. Okay guys, disassembling of the sandwich was opposite to the case. It was disaster. First of all, these yellow Gateron switches, they are just very hard to eject from the PCB, and I know it because I already worked with them several times on several keyboards, And funny enough, Tron switch removal tool doesn't work with the switches, so you cannot use this tool to eject Gatron switches. Haha. So I have spent a lot of time just using this awful switch removal tool to eject all switches. Then just check this out. This is amount of different screws, different types of screws, plus this magnet fits what you need to remove from this PCB sandwich to disassemble it. These guys love screws. Another interesting moment. The stabilizers, right? Switch stabilizers, they are screw in. So if you are gonna to mod this, you just need to know that they are screw-in type of stabilizers. Also, I need to mention that this PCB is kind of flex cut, so you see these gaps. This approach adding some flexibility to the PCB sandwich in general. So I don't think that this is a metal, it's kind of some kind of plastic or carbon, and it's also flex cut, so it's also pretty flexible. Okay guys, so first mod, let's add some switch lubricant into the switches, stabilizers I mean, so it will make the stabilizers sounds a little bit better. Okay, let's just add a little bit of lubricant inside each stabilizer. So finally I was able to assemble back the sandwich, so now we have this painter type mod. We have our stabilizers a little bit lubricated, our switches already factory lubricated. So basically that's all. Actually the options for modding endless, you can do a lot of stuff, but for now let's do the sound test of painter type lubricated switches and everything else as from the box. So you may hear the keyboard became a little bit more quiet. So I want to show you one more options how this keyboard may sound. And because this is super easy to disassemble the case, we can easily remove our type mod. But before that, let's remove the this bottom case foam, right, for a moment, and let's check how this keyboard is sound without this foam at all. So you can hear that it's no big difference. So this foam is not adding a lot of stuff. Now let's try to remove the painter type mod and let's see what will be the result. So now we don't have case foam, we don't have painter type mod, so only switches, sandwich foam, and that's all. As for me, this is the most clear and interesting sound of this keyboard. Also today I have another version of this keyboard. Guys sent me for review and for testing both versions of this WhiteFox, right? So let's quickly do the sound test of this version. This is a plastic, so it's a kind of starter kit with the same idea. You can remove the PCB sandwich from the case. It is the same gasket mounted with some silicone, so it's work as a dampening and sound absorbing stuff. So in general it's all the same, only one difference that it's plastic. So let's check the sound. a little bit less crisp as per my experience, because obviously the aluminum case adding the stuff. But from the keycaps and switches, it's all the same, so difference only in the structure, which is obviously in this version is more advanced, but also a price difference. So you can choose whatever is closer to you based on your needs and budgets. And one more last thing, but very important thing, and it's a kind of cherry on top of the cake. You can connect this keyboard and use via web driver. You don't need to download anything, you don't need to install. You can just go to the use via application, connect your WhiteFox, and immediately you can do everything. You can do the basic stuff, you can do the macros, you can do the lighting, you can do all of this, which is great, and you don't need any specific software. Everything up and running through the VIA website, which is just great. So guys, as a summary, what I can say about these two keyboards, mostly about this one, because this is just a little bit more simple version of this aluminum magnetic one. So first of all, obvious stuff, the structure of this keyboard is just genius. You can really remove this top plate if it's a different color will be available or is available. You can mix with the color of the case, you can move it in, move it out. In general, the case is very sturdy and very heavy, so that's why it sounds so good. You can do endless options of modification of this keyboard, and it's very easy if you're not going to disassemble the sandwich of the PCB, because it's a disaster. And you have the software, you have the RGB, it's wireless, so from the aesthetic point of view it looks also pretty solid. So I rather can recommend this keyboard because it's really well made if you want to spend this amount of money. If not, you can check my other videos on the channel with more budget mechanical keyboards. Thank you for watching and see you next time.